In understanding positive behavior supports and resources, I will be talking about appropriate and effective instruction, student teacher interactions, and a little strategy called time away. So, in appropriate and effective instruction should be effective and structured for student success in order to minimize student frustration with academic work and teacher instruction. For example, in my class, I would be developing instructional adaptations and accommodations for students, which can lead to student success and it will limit student frustration and increase their motivation in their academic work. Some of these adaptations involve changing the way instruction and assessments are presented. So, for my class, I put here an example that all instruction shouldn't be presented verbally, but can have visuals or interactive activities such as singing a song to learn the states or the alphabets. Some other things can be having a PowerPoint as well. I give instruction to my students, or give an activity that doesn't involve them just writing down words instead of having them to match pictures to a certain word. Also, in our course book, Student Teacher to Master Teacher, there's a quote that says students who successfully meet motivation and academic challenges will be less likely to act up since they are too busy gathering the internal and external reinforces that accompany a job well done. And teacher to student interactions. Teacher interactions with students should consist of private interactions that demonstrate genuine concern for the well being of the student. So, for me in my classroom, I would go ahead and use body language that demonstrates respect and acceptance, meaning I won't be talking over the student. Maybe I will kneel down eye level and talk to them respectfully. Also, the use of using an understanding vocational tone, so I won't give a tone off that's kind of implementing that it's the student's fault they're acting out. Also, during my classroom, I would also be enthusiastic, meaning I won't come to school seeming like I dread being there. When it comes to classroom rules should be developed using a developmental worksheet. So there's an example I took from the book of me getting a developmental worksheet. This is when it breaks down the rules in the class by stating the meaning of the rule, then how to teach the rule in the class, and available supports for the rule. In students' expectations, the expectations for students should be appropriate and be the same to each child. So I would not have different expectations. For the students in my classroom, I would tend to generally keep them equally. However, if when it comes to their IEP, obviously it is going to be different, but I would try to keep the expectations the same, meaning students will have a positive attitude when they come into the classroom. Maybe an expectation is try to go ahead and be team players. The expectation should also be straightforward. So in my classroom, I would generally like to think that I'm gonna give them on the first day of school that will set the foundation of them to follow, meaning that since it's expected of them from day one, they should follow them throughout the whole year. When it comes to the expectations, since they are to be the same and appropriate for each child, so should the consequences. So I wouldn't make each child have a different expectation, so they wouldn't have different consequences. Everything will be kept the same. And the last positive behavior management support strategy that I would use is to use the strategy of time away, which allows students to take some time off and gather themselves. So, what this idea is supposed to do is that it allows students to privately leave an activity as a cooling off period until they are ready to cope with the assignment, but the fact that they are leaving should be clearly conveyed that it's the student's choice and it's not some type of removal for punishment or misbehavior. So in my classroom, how I would go ahead and get this done is by first, if I see some, they're struggling with some for them starting their assignment, I would go ahead and call them by their name and identify some desired behaviors that they had recently exhibited before during the week. So, John, I liked when you had started your work quietly on Tuesday. Why don't we go ahead and start that again today? If that's not working out, from there I'll go ahead and point out the undesired behaviors and remind them that some joint efforts have already been made to help them begin their work. From there, I would also give the student an invited choice making option between two acceptable options. So I would go ahead and let the student know that I would be like, John, why don't you go ahead and take a walk and go get a drink of water and come back when you're ready to start your assignment. Or you could go get a drink of water, come back. But if you're not ready to start your assignment, you could go ahead and come talk to me, and we could go ahead and figure out some problems that are keeping you from starting this assignment. Also, when I go ahead and invite these two choice making options, I would not go ahead and enforce an immediate choice for them. So I wouldn't go say, John, go get a drink of water and come back and start your assignment. I would go ahead from those two options that I gave him. I would go ahead and let them choose, let me go get a drink of water, come back and start my assignment, or let me go get a drink of water and then talk to the teacher and see what I could do to go ahead and start this assignment. There are many other positive behavior management and supports that could be integrated into the classroom, but these are some of the few that I would definitely use in my future classroom.